It's quick and dirty project time. Summer is coming. That means that it's going to be pepper growing season pretty soon. I've got in here a bag of Serrano pepper seeds, just with a damp paper towel. It's a pretty classic method for starting hard to start seeds. But they're not starting. So what can help, aside from just being in a moist environment like that, is a little bit of heat. So I figured I would take one of these. It's just a metal plate from the back of the breadboard. Glue some resistors on the back of it. Run a little power through it, just make a little heat plate, little USB powered heat plate. So, what do we need for that? I figure I'm going to use 10 resistors in parallel, just because that'll space out nicely on the plate. So 10 resistors in parallel, and they're going to be running at 5 volts. And I want to run it about 2 watts. Just because I don't want it to get too hot or stay too cold, you know, I want it to be relatively warm. So that's pretty easy, right? 2 watts divided by 5 volts. We need 400 milliamps. To get 400 milliamps from 5 volts, just need to divide 5 by 0.4. .5 ohms. Then, since we're going to be using parallel resistors, multiply that by 10. Don't need to bother. 125 ohms. So, if we take 10 125 ohm resistors, put them in parallel, we'll get the 12.5 ohms, 400 milliamp draw, 2 watts. Of course, I don't have 125 ohm resistors. I don't know if they make those. I'm sure they do. So let's see, if we had 5 volts divided by 10, 500 milliamps, that'd be probably a bit much. 5 volts divided by 22 times 5, it's going to be 1 watt. Probably just going to go with 100 milliamps, because that's going to be 2.5 watts. It's not much more than I was planning on. Okay, I've got my 10 resistors. The plan is essentially to just glue them on here with hot glue. I don't think they're gonna get hot enough to melt the glue, and it'll make a good thermal transfer compound, hack thermal transfer compound onto the metal. So I'm just gonna glue them all 10 in a line, and then I'll place bus wires on here, just bend the legs up, and yeah, that's the whole plan, really. I do not have fingers of steel or asbestos. This is just not a particularly hot glue gun. Big gap in the center there. I might put this one in the center. Ow. Of course, it's not a particularly cold hot glue gun either. I'll just do one more line down the center. solder extractor fan on that to cool it off real quick. I'll be back. Well, it's not pretty. I think it'll work. I'm just going to bend the legs up on both sides. Maybe I should just do one side at a time. Yeah, I'm just going to do one side at a time. That'll work. So I can solder the bus wires on, and then I'll glob more glue on there to keep everything in place. Now I just need to go down the line. Turn the solder extractor fan on, solder fume extractor fan on. Good enough for me. This is lead-free solder. I have to say, I really don't mind it at all. Seems to work perfectly fine. To rethink my strategy here. This copper wire really transfers the heat very well. Brought in some forceps. Can use those to hold this side in place. Okay. That's one side all connected. Do you really need to see the other side? You can do the other side off camera. We'll come back in a second. Okay, the other side is done. I think I'm going to pop this whole thing off here now so that I can straighten the resistor legs out a little better without taking the chance of them coming in contact with the metal plate. This is working much better than I expected it to. Zoom me out a bit. Refocus up in the air. Just gonna straighten the legs out, and then instead of having to try and squirt glue under here, I can put the glue onto the plate and squish this down onto it. I think that's going to work better. Don't want to bend these too flat. Still want them to be up a little bit from the resistor body and from this pre-existing glue blob. That might be too low. Looks good to me. Your hot glue gun pick up things sometimes? Oops. should get a bigger hot glue gun for this sort of thing. One thing that I can report already is this metal plate transfers heat very well. Just want to get this whole situation kind of down in good contact with the glue so it doesn't go anywhere. Looks pretty terrible. I think it'll work. Again, I said quick, dirty project, not, you know, fancy project. If from the video or from the description you were expecting something other than a hot glue abortion, sorry. I thought I had some pre-destroyed USB leads, or at least some cheap ones, but all I could find was this one for a Fitbit I am not ever going to use again. So and joy of joy, since it was just a power lead originally, it's only got the 2 wires in it. That's probably enough commentary on that. You guys don't need to hear me grunting at a USB cable. Kind of an aside here, this is an absurdly nice cable. It's got like braided shield and an internal like foil shield. Kind of interesting. Okay, I've got some heat shrink to stick on here. Just hack it in half. Hope this is gonna fit over my splices. I think it will. To avoid triggering anything, we'll go black to blue and red to yellow. Good enough. Oops. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna glob some more hot glue on here just to minimize the possibility of this going anywhere and to maximize thermal transfer or something. So what did I say, 10 ohms, 500 milliamps? Probably should have bothered to check this before putting the hot glue on, but I can poke through hot glue. Ten ohms. Hey, I'll take that. Okay, so we know mathematically that this should work, and we know electrically that this is drawing power, and that resistors generate heat when they draw power like this, but is it actually working? Well, yeah. I'm going to say that's working. 105 Fahrenheit, 76 Fahrenheit. Yeah. So it remains to be seen if this is going to be warm enough for the seeds or if it's going to be too warm for the seeds. But we'll see what happens.